Yeah, so two young programmers. They are the DevTool developers. One is an engineer mathematician and specializes in Elixir and Python. The second is an Elixir developer with a background in mobile phone development, and they'll be talking about the aeternity's developer tools, and it's Georgi Spasov Hristiyan Georgiev. Welcome. Come on, guys.
Hello, everyone. Disclaimer. Definitely, we don't know Elixir. Probably
No?
somebody else.
That's a lie. What's
That's
going
probably.
on?
But yes, it's Hristiyan Georgiev. I'm
It's
Georgi
planned.
Spasov.
It's planned.
As Nikita,
It's planned.
as Nikita said, totally cannot see you. So yeah, very brief intro. I'm George, and I'm co-founder of LimeChain. Similarly to Nikita, we have been working for a long time in development of blockchain applications. And we have been working with Eternity for quite some time in a thing that's called Devsuite. It's not our own, but I'm going to try and summarize what is it, what it does for you, and hopefully how it came to be and where it could be going. So let's get started. Do we have clicker? No? Okay. Cool. What do we have in the Devsuite? We have the Goggles app. We have the Contracts app. We have the Playground app, which looks very, very similar to what we saw quite recently in Nikita's presentation. We have the Sophia Contracts example, and we have a tool called A Project. So yeah, let's go one by one through all of this. Let's go for Goggles app. How this came to be. So there are two wonderful people, as far as I know, Andrea and Nas, that one day were looking at transactions and were saying, what the fuck is going on? I have no idea how to understand why this thing is not working at all. And they decided to build a very, very nice inspector of transactions. Thank you for doing that. And they called it Goggles. Through some interesting strings of fate, we ended up maintaining this and actually expanding this. And you're going to see shortly how, first of all, how this works, how it looks, and second of all, what's the future of this. What else do we have there? We have the legacy contracts app. This is something that have been used for a long time. How this came to be? Well, I think it was either Emil or somebody from the core dev team that said, what the fuck, I have no idea where to code my contracts, how to compile them, and how to see their results. And they decided to code the contracts app. And yeah, Contracts app is an editor that allows you to input your Sophia code, compile it, and do some testing, manual testing over it. You can think of this as the very basic version of what you see Nikita presenting quite recently. Next thing that we have is the Playground app. This is, again, very interesting story. Pega and Sadi, another two developers from Eternity, had the same epiphany of saying, hey, this Contracts app is totally not enough. We need to do something else. So we got together and we decided to do a fully fledged IDE. So again, something similar to what Nikita showed in the previous presentation. So we are going to show you the Playground very shortly. And we are planning for this to become like the de facto tool and de facto way for people to understand, experience for first time Sophia and Eternity. So keep a look in that. Then we have the Sophia contracts example. First thing that we did when we entered the Eternity/Sophia space was actually to try and run a smart contract and figure out we have absolutely no way of figuring out how to make it work. I mean, there was documentation, but it was constantly changing. And we decided actually there is a need for a stable smart contract repository examples, at least, so that you can see what you're building there. This is going to be basis for something that I'm going to show you later that's coming up. And probably the last thing, and the thing that we have worked the most on, it used to be called Forge, now it's called A Project, and is framework for creating, unit testing, compiling, and deploying your smart contracts among many, many other things. So we're going to show you most of these things. A project, because it's such a huge tool with a lot of functionality, has its own session on time slot, which is tomorrow at 4:30. So hopefully whoever is interested in a project can come and visit us on this track tomorrow at 4:30. And at this point, I just want to show you this tool, and I'm going to hand over to my colleague Hristiyan, who is going to show you, what the different tools are about, and then I'll tell you what the future holds.
Yep, absolutely. Hello guys, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Hristiyan and I'm from the Development Suite project, and just wanted to include something else for the AI project. As I heard in the morning that someone asked a question about how do we set up a node. So as you know, a project allows you to quickly and easily create a local network over Eternity just with one command. So if you're interested, you can see how tomorrow. And now, as George said, there's another features that we have developed and maintained. So I'm going to visualize them so you can quickly understand what we're working on. So let's start with the contracts app. It's, as George said, on one ID, which is intended to be on the testnet only. And it allows you to play with Sophia smart contracts, compile them, deploy them, and just see the results. So it's only available on the IO project. It's a little spoiler, so I built it locally. Just keep it through there. And yeah, as you can see, it's already online on the local host. Yep. And that is. So you compile your contract, you have your bytecode, you deploy, and that's it. So we just execute some command. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, you can just type some smart contracts. Next thing I'm going to show you, it's the goggles. So as George said, it's transaction inspector, so you can see what's going on with your transaction. It's like, it validates your input if anyways the transaction is valid, so you can check what's going around. And there's some of errors you can expect here, or if the transaction has been successful, you can see its status, whether it's okay. If not, there's something's going wrong. So I'm going to briefly show you some examples how it behaves differently. So let's see again what does this video. It's all wrong. So yeah, pretty much you enter wrong transaction and you end up with a couple of red lines, and that's it.
What's wrong with this transaction? Can we just...
okay.
Can we just highlight what it says?
So yeah, as you can see, the TTL is already expired. The fee for the transaction is too low, so there's a couple of errors here that should be taken in consideration. So yeah, be fixed. Then we have only the nonce with error. So the nonce is invalid or reduced. And then if there's no error, we should expect something like this. See, no red lines, so everything should be okay. And then we have Playground, which is available on testingplaygroundapps.com. I just, for the sake of the example, copied like simple example test, which basically what it does is have some state, which we can change later on. We initialize it with 0, so we can change it afterwards. We have simple function sum. So yeah, we can just basically test and play some with the playground. And yeah, this is basically what we saw earlier. So yeah, contract compiled successfully. We have the bytecode in the right side of the screen. We have the functions, the console. So when we deploy something, we expect to have the deployment transaction information on the console. So here's some status about the transaction deployment. And just playing with the function. This is a little bit later version. Now with the new functionality of the SDK, we should be able to have a little drop-down menu with all the functions inside. So we are not forcing the user to type it itself. So it's going to be available anytime soon. And yeah. Again, we say a lot about the transaction and the output of them. And now what we're going to do is to change the index of the initial state of the variable, just like some random number. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And now we're going to type a wrong function, so just for the sake of the example, so we can see that it's going to type an error. Oh no. Maybe we get the index first. Yep. And that's pretty much it about the examples. And another examples that we have is actually the contract examples, which are in the aeternity repository. So if you're interested, you can see there are the crypto hamsters that Nikita showed earlier, and other many stuff, which is pretty cool. So that's from my side. And let's go further with the presentation.
All right, yeah, so this was the crash course into the Devsuite. As you can see, there are a lot of things. Some things are currently just maintained and are going to be replaced by better ones. And as you saw, there are actually tools that, I mean, there are a lot of things that can be improved there because there are also a lot of tools. So let's take a little glimpse into the future, what the future holds. One thing that holds is that you probably have seen or you can see there is already in the forum there is a dev grant application for the roadmap of where these things are going. So I want to quickly run through the different things that we plan on having there so that you see the future. So of course, this is all unconfirmed. This is still pending on the foundation. This might be subject to change, but this is what the team has in mind of implementing. So DAO-Shape will tell you more tomorrow about it. But also, what we are thinking of doing is for us to enable people to have a local transaction debugger, have a local version of Goggles. What this means is that currently with Goggles, you can only inspect transactions that are on the testnets or the mainnet, I think. But normally when you develop, you want to do the same way for your own network. So this is something that we plan on enabling. Second of all, as you saw, Playgrounds currently is not utilizing the application contract interfaces. Therefore, we had to type our own function names. This is not ideal, and we plan on adding this into the Playground. And in addition to this, we're planning to do stuff like importing and exporting contracts, synchronizing with your file system, and yeah, very similar things to this. Also, we plan on eventually contributing some TypeScript typings for the JavaScript SDK, so that there is a better autocompletion there, and hopefully a minimal .NET library. The two major things that are exciting the most of the people that we have spoken with are, first of all, together with Nikita and with the help of the core team, are going to introduce another tool. It's not definitely a tool, but it's like a new type of node, auto-mining lightweight node that is going to be used and is going to be perfect for running your own local unit tests there. What's currently the problem with that is that if you have a big suite and you're using your own local node for your local network, it can take you hours in order for your suite to run, which obviously is not ideal. And we were looking for a solution to speed up this process, therefore drive more efficiency from your development process. Minute AE is going to be such a node. We're going to provide command line interface and a graphical user interface so that people can run and tweak their own local, very, very fast local networks. And second thing that we plan on doing is the contract injector plus the contracts library. So something that we have been missing when we have been developing different Sophia smart contracts is the ability to actually base ourselves on other code, hopefully trusted and audited code. We have been forced pretty much to always reinvent the wheel or copy stuff around. So we decided, hey, isn't there actually a better way to do this? Obviously, with Sophia being a functional language, we cannot do stuff like inheritance, stuff like this. But we have decided that actually it's worth it to have a tool that allows you to actually inject other contracts in your smart contract. And so we are going to develop such a tool. We're going to embed it in a project, and it's going to allow you to inject other contracts in your contract. So it's going to merge your state, your init function is going to add new functions to your smart contract. And the coolest part of this is going to enable for community governed contracts library. So we can finally have like a repository of Sophia based smart contracts that are community governed. Everyone can look at them, point out obvious flaws, and we can, like every developer from now on, will be able to actually base their code on that. So yeah, this is what the contract injector and contract library is. And yeah, pretty much this is the brief overview of the Devsuite, and I'm looking for any questions that you might have.
Right, so, awesome.
Hi, so I
Hello.
wanted to ask about the contract injector.
Yep.
If you inject code, how hard it is to uninject it, first of all, and second of all, if you change it and you go into the rabbit hole of actually change the injected code, what's going to happen? Have you thought about this, and how are you going to deal with injected code?
Currently, there are two schools of thought on this matter that still are not finally decided, because we want to get more opinions on this. On one side of the schools of thought, these are going to be just references that are going to be before compilation are going to be merged together, which is going to allow you to actually have like constantly upgraded versions of the contracts that, as you said. The other school of thought is to directly statically embed and merge these smart contracts so that you can actually have a smart contract that is directly has these functionalities. This, on the other side, gives the benefit of these smart contracts that are now merged being able to be run everywhere. You can just copy paste the same contract in the playground, it's going to work. On the contracts app, is going to work. So there is still pros and cons on both approaches. This is still undecided. Currently, we are probably leaning towards the latter one. And if we choose the latter one, then how do you uninject it is going to be pretty much deleting the unneeded code.
Yep.
Hans, I dreaded this part.
Get ready. Shall I give it to him? Okay, go on.
No, just a question. If you really want inheritance, why don't we just implement it instead?
If you have seen my picture, Elixir and Erlang are mystery to me.
Yeah, but this is Sophia. It's neither.
Because
yeah,
you need
if
state. I
there's
mean,
a great if there's a great want or a great need for inheritance, it's nothing technical, or it's just a technical problem of implementing it for Sophia, I guess.
my personal thoughts on this is that Sophia is functional language and inheritance comes a little bit out of the object-oriented world. So should these two be mixed together? I mean, I don't feel confident enough to say yes to this, to answer yes to this question.
Well, we had plans for inheritance, we just haven't gotten there yet.
All right.
Well, usually when people write Q&A, they have some kind of questions in mind. What kind of questions you thought people were going to ask you? Did you have a question in mind?
Exactly that.
Okay.
Why don't we-
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. We have time.
No, there were initially some plans on the playground to have some interactive tutorials there to make it easier to dive a bit deeper in the world of Sophia code. Is this still on the roadmap, or is?
Yes, undefined where and how. It would still need furthermore communication, but yes, there is the idea of something called the Tour of Eternity, which is an interactive tutorial taking people from pretty much zero experience with Eternity, probably even with blockchain, through all the steps and teaching them what is Sophia, what are the different facets, and how to compile, how to deploy, what are good patterns. So this is the ultimate vision with the playground. It's still up to be debated when this is going to happen, how this is going to happen. Ideally, we would need a little bit more stability in the whole development ecosystem in order for this to make sense, because I fear that even if we make it now, in a month we will have to totally rewrite it again. So yeah, pretty similar to what happens with the SDK.
Right, I think a round of applause for the guys.
Thank you.
And